All right, friends, welcome back. This is going to be part 71, of Dinosaurs and Man. And in this one here, this video here is just going to be an excerpt from this book right here, which is Shipwrecks and Sea Monsters of California's Central Coast. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you just a couple pages of this, actually just a couple pages. And again, this is all this video is going to be, and to give you more background and the descriptions of this animal, of this creature, as they described it from some of the folks that actually eyewitnessed it. And then from there, the video after this one, we're going to go into more details and some of the problems of it being a plesiosaur. But at any rate, on pages, now what I'm going to be reading you from is from 159 to 162, 159 to 162 of this book, Shipwrecks and Sea Monsters of California's Central Coast. It says the year was 1925. The place was Moore's Beach, approximately 2 miles north of Santa Cruz, and the discoverer of the creature was Charles Moore. Charles Moore. Dramatically described in numerous newspapers, the creature soon became the talk of the Central Coast, with people driving from many California communities to view the strange Santa Cruz serpent. With stories of the creature appearing in so many publications, descriptions of the monster were soon almost as plentiful as the number of people who viewed the odd beast. To give the reader an idea as to how these descriptions varied and how the monster appeared to different individuals, a selected few of the descriptions are included in this account. This first of the descriptions is from a well-known Monterey merchant of a half-century ago. In describing the Santa Cruz beast, he told of it being a serpent-like monster approximately 50 feet in length, 2 feet in diameter, with a fish's tail and a duck's head. Perhaps the strangest feature of all, as described by this Monterey man, were the elephant-like legs every few yards along the body, and the fact that it boasted a plentiful supply of ivory toenails. A second description from the Monterey Peninsula Herald refers to the Santa Cruz monster as a freak of Father Neptune and describes it as being 35 feet in length, 5 feet in height, possessing a duck-shaped head, a tail like a whale, and an odor which kept curious ones at a respectful distance. The newspaper account went on to say geologists, paleontologists, anthropologists, and deep-sea divers were to be asked to give the creature a close inspection. According to an account in the Santa Cruz News, the mystery monster was 34 feet long, its head was bigger than a barrel, and its eyes were bigger than an abalone. In continuing the report, the newspaper stated it had a great oval-shaped body with a neck 7 feet long and 36 inches in diameter. Its body was covered with a coat of semi-hair and feathers, and its mouth was like that of a duck's bill. Now, let me go back real quick and just say that the neck description, I told you that they were describing it as 20 feet long, and here we're talking 7 feet long. That's a 13-foot difference there, and so it's quite a difference. Bernard Heuvelmans, in his authoritative previously mentioned book, In the Wake of Sea Serpents, discusses the monster in the following terms. It was a strange creature with a huge head longer than a man, tiny eyes, and sort of a duck's head beak. It was joined to the main body by a slender neck that seemed to be about 30 feet long. Now, here we go. Now, this one is 30 feet long, and so you get some opinions on the length of it. So much for the description of the strange beast. As for identifying the monster, numerous knowledgeable and some not so knowledgeable men offered their theories, with E.L. Wallace of Santa Cruz, twice the president of the Natural History Society of British Columbia, having the following to say about the creature. My examination of the monster was quite thorough. I felt in its mouth and found it had no teeth. Its head is large and its neck fully 20 feet long. Okay, here we go with the 20 feet long neck. Um, the body is weak and the tail is only 3 feet in length from the end of the backbone. These facts do away with the whale theory, which had been proposed by a handful of other authorities. As the backbone of a whale is far larger than any bone in this animal, again, its tail is too weak for an animal of the deep and does away with the last version. With a bill like it possesses, it must have lived on herbage and undoubtedly inhabited a swamp. I would call it a type of plesiosaurus. A plesiosaur was a serpent, a sea reptile of prehistoric times. After continued examination, Mr. Wallace also offered the theory that the monster may have been preserved in a glacier for countless years, finally being released by the gradual melting of the ice and floating into warmer waters, eventually to be cast upon the Santa Cruz shore. Another rather interesting observation, which fits into the prehistoric monster category, was offered by the respected Santa Cruz judge W.R. Springer. Judge Springer was unsure as to which classification of prehistoric animal the monster belonged, but felt certain that it was a monster from a past age, perhaps millions of years ago. In describing the creature, he spoke of the duck-like head, the 20-foot-long neck, and evidences of 2 short feet, or flippers or fins beneath the ugly gigantic head. In continuing, Judge Springer told how the reptile must have swum with its head high above the water, presenting a formidable looking sight to any sailor who may have had the misfortune of viewing it from the watch house. Finally, in a quote from the Santa Cruz newspaper of 1925, the respected judge stated, "A monstrosity of the sea would probably best describe the strange creature. Should such a head as it possesses be protruded over the rail of a vessel, it would be enough to put the hardest kind of an old tar on the water wagon for life." With so-called positive identifications continuing to pour in, the mysterious monster of Moore's Beach was referred to, among other things, as a bottle-necked whale, a bottle-nosed whale, a box-nosed walrus, a shovel-bill shark, and a bottle-nosed porpoise. With such identifications were being printed in several Bay Area newspapers, the Santa Cruz Sentinel published an account of a terrific battle between a dozen or more sea lions and a monster fish that had been observed near Santa Cruz's Houghton Beach. A few days later, the Moore's Beach monster was discovered by a Mr. E.J. Lear, as stated by Mr. Lear, and this is what he said: "I was driving a team toward Capitola, a neighboring Santa Cruz community, and suddenly I was attracted by some young sea lions not far out. They were lined up, and several large lions were swimming back and forth in front of them. Much further out, I saw the water being churned to foam and thrown high up in the air, and then all of a sudden, a big form shot into the air. It was shiny, and I took it to be a big fish. A dozen or more sea lions were battling it, and every once in a while, all would raise out of the water. It looked to me as though all of the sea lions were attacking it beneath as the monster came out of the water several times. In telling of the battle of that night, I estimated its length at 30 feet. The battle continued as long as I could see it from the road. I was driving toward Capitola with a load of sand and have not seen the monster on the beach, but possibly it may have been that which I saw. With such accounts being printed and positive identifications continuing to be reported by self-proclaimed authorities, it is little wonder local interest in the mystery monster continued to run at fever pitch. Finally, after several noted scientists scratched their heads and held their noses over the strange duck-billed beast, officials from the California Academy of Sciences, who officially claimed the body of the mammal for scientific study, carefully inspected the creature's skull and announced to the waiting world that the mysterious monster of Moore's Beach was a North Pacific type beak of whale. Let me start again. Was a North Pacific type of beaked whale. This creature was described as being so rare that no name except its Latin one, Baratus barati, given to it by Leonhard. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but it's Stejneger in 1883. That's when this guy gave this name to this type of whale. Had ever been bestowed upon it. With the mystery monster officially tagged with a name, and with further reports stating such things as the dual effects of decomposition in high seas had separated the body from the skin, in which in turn had rolled up on itself to create the illusion of a long neck. All seemingly to fall into place, most Bay Area residents nodded in agreement and readily accepted the Academy's findings, soon to forget the entire episode. But regardless of the number of people who accepted the Academy's findings, there were also those who refused to believe the creature was a member of the whale family and steadfastly clung to the belief that the Moore's Beach monster was of unknown origin, perhaps a throwback to prehistoric times. And so that is the information from the book. And when I first started going through this, even when I do classes, I figured, how am I going to cut up that material and try to make it into a slide? And I said, you know what? I'm going to just read it. I'm going to just read it. And so that right there, my friends, is what is in the book. And so when we come back, we're going to look at, we're going to point out a few things in the book, and then we're going to look at what they're stating that this animal really was. And so a really mysterious thing when you get so many different people, so many educated people looking at the thing and state. I wish they would have gotten some better pictures, but when you get so many people looking at it, I got to admit the descriptions that they were given were quite bizarre, to say the least. And so, even if it's just a new type of animal to science and not even a plesiosaur at all, if it's something new, it's still amazing. It's still an amazing find. And so, but at any rate, guys, we'll check you out next time. I hope the Lord bless you real good. Love you. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.